Hello, my name is Lian, and this is my submission for early and late middle ages assignment. For section one, number one, the pagan cultures blended with Roman and Christian influences in the rule Charlemagne, who unified Europe in a Christian empire and fostered the Renaissance in learning and the arts. For number two, a warlike people called the Franks had halted Muslim incursion by 750 and established a kingdom along the Rhine River. And Charlemagne was not only a bold military leader and a politician, his avid interest in learning and the arts created what scholars call the Carolingian. And number three, at the center of the Carolingian Renaissance was a vigorous culture of the book. Carolingian painters and illustrators consciously imitated Hellenistic and Byzantine styles imported from the Mediterranean world. But number four, after Charlemagne's rule, medieval Europe struggled to preserve its communal life, and largely self-sufficient such medieval communities or manors functioned without cities or centralized governments. The culture that arose reflected the values of the landowners, a culture of epic battles and military conducted that may be the feudal spirit. For number five, two main artifacts from the feudal Europe is artifact 6.1, which is the illustration from a 15th century manuscript of the Song of Roland, Musique Condé, and Chantilly, France, and 6.11, which is a detail from the Bayeux tapestry, c. 1073 to 88, is a wool embroidery on linen. Its height is around 20 inches, and the length of tapestry is 231 feet. For number six, to briefly describe monasticism, from the beginning of Christianity, believers felt called to renounce the world of material things and pursued a solitary existence of prayer and devotion. The Egyptian hermits who retreated alone to the desert were the first Christians to adopt this austere spiritual ideal, and they would later on be known as monks. Monasticism was to become a powerful force in the Christianizing of Northern and Eastern Europe. For question 7, to identify the foremost medieval philosophers are Peter Abelard, who was a pivotal figure in medieval philosophy, and he later had an affair with his pupil, and this inspired the medieval literacy imagination of love affairs. And his best philosophical work, it was the Seek in Non For and Against, which posed theological questions and then quoted conflicting church authorities. For section 2, number 1, I chose Mary Shelley, 1818, the author of Frankenstein, which she accomplished new feats by publishing an innovative Gothic novel, and she's important because her novel Frankenstein best represents a Gothic perspective, and it can also be identified as a philosophical novel. Next, I chose Harriet Tubman, 1800s, also known as the Moses of her people. She helped many enslaved people escape from the prison cells. For third, I chose Florence Nightingale, 1820 to 1910, and she was a caring nurse and a leader, and can also be known as the founder of modern nursing. She's important because she helped create a sanitary environment in the nursing field. Fourth, I chose Marilyn Monroe, 1926 to 1962, and she was an impactful woman in the fields of acting and rose to popularity as an extensive sexual symbol in Hollywood. She is best known for playing comedic blondie bombshell characters. For fifth and my last one, I chose Maya Angelou, 1951 to 2014. She's a famous poet, a dancer, singer, activist, and scholar, and is best known for her unique of pioneering and writing autobiographies. For number 2, part A, the 5 Gothic books are Dracula by Bram Stoker, 1897, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, 1818, The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, 1839, The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, 1898, The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole, 1764, and part B, where we have today, is I believe that Gothic can have two meanings, because in the past the term Gothic meant beauty and majesty in architecture. However, in literature, the term Gothic means a genre associated with the mystery and intrigue surrounding the supernatural and the unknown. The ideas architecture and literature can use the term Gothic to describe their own sense of meaning. Therefore, I believe that we have not spelled, a term used to describe a subject. For number 3, and the Dante's Divine Comedy is Dante embarks on a journey, the mountain of purgatory, which leads him to reach purgatory and visit the souls who have not been forgiven in hell. Dante there faces the trials of the ordinary Christian believer. And in Chaucer's Canterbury Pilgrims, a storytelling contest between a group of pilgrims as they travel to visit the divine shrine of St. Thomas Becket at the Canterbury Cathedral. The characters are the pardoner, the wife of Bath, the knight, the narrator, the miller, the priors, the monk, the friar, the summoner, the squire, the parson, and the clerk. For number 4, to briefly describe Petrarch, is the first great humanist publishing not only his collected poems as a single work, but also works of philosophy, politics, and religion. Christine's most important work was the Book of City of Ladies, 1405. For number 5, to describe the international Gothic, is the trade and travel across late medieval Europe, which helped stimulate a diverse style. And in Italy, especially at Siena, the international Gothic absorbed the influence of the Byzantine icons, with their gilded surfaces and overtly atmospheres. For question 6, to list the 8 Crusaders in order is Crusade 1, which is 1096 to 1099, and the second Crusade is in 1147, 1149, and it happens to recapture the country of Edessa that fell to the Muslims in 1144. And the third Crusade was from 1189 to 1192. It launched after the fall of Jerusalem. And the fourth Crusade was in 1202 and 1204. The Pope Innocent III preached for a crusade after losing Jerusalem. And fifth Crusade is around 1217 to 1222, 1221. And the Pope continues to preach for the military expeditions of the Holy Land. And the Sixth Crusade is the 1228 through 1229, and it successfully captures of the Holy Land by entering into negotiations with the Egyptian Sultan to seize Jerusalem, Nazareth, and Bethlehem to the Christians. In the Seventh Crusade, 1248 to 1254, it was launched by French King Louis IV, who decided to recapture the Holy Land. In the Eighth Crusade, 1270, it was a campaign started in Tunis. And in the Ninth Crusade, 1271 through 1272, this crusade sought to recapture the Holy Land from the Muslims, and it was launched by Prince Edward of England. Thank you.